season, man. Let's go get what we want. Hey, yeah, hey. It's about that time.
We know what we want to do. It's another opportunity for us to get better.
Alabama has won the match.
How you compete, that means how hard you play, how tough you play, how you can sustain in tough circumstances.
Welcome to TideTV This Week, brought to you by Renaissance Bank. I'm Christopher England alongside Maggie Hetzel.
A bittersweet win, but a win's a win is what Coach Saban would say, but definitely a tough one watching Tua go out on that one.
Yes, it was, Maggie. As you mentioned, Alabama traveled to Starkville on Saturday to take on the Mississippi State Bulldogs. It didn't take long for the Crimson Tide to get on the scoreboard on the first drive after a big 37-yard pass to Jerry Jeudy. Najee Harris rushed in from 10 yards out to put the Crimson Tide up 7-0. Then the Crimson Tide defense came up with a big play on the Bulldogs' first offensive play. Tommy Stevens threw it right to freshman linebacker Shane Lee, and he returned it to the Mississippi State 19-yard line on the very next play. Tua connected with Najee Harris for his second touchdown. This one through the air for 19 yards, and Bama was up 14-0.
And with the 14-7 score, Najee Harris scored his third touchdown in the first quarter of play 5 yards out, and the Crimson Tide extended their lead to 21-7. Then on the second play of the second quarter, Alabama struck again, finding an open Jalen Waddle 35 yards later. It was 28-7, but they weren't done just yet. Najee Harris taking another one in with his fourth touchdown, gave Alabama a big 35-7 lead, and it was the Tide's fifth possession and the Tide's fifth touchdown.
But with just over 3 minutes left before the half, on 3rd and 4, Tua rolled out looking to throw. He got rid of the ball but was brought down hard by two Bulldog defenders. His helmet was knocked off as he landed awkwardly. Tua suffered a bloody nose and he couldn't put pressure on his right hip. He wouldn't return as Mac Jones finished the game. Joseph Bulovas added a 22-yard field goal for the final score of 38-7 for the Crimson Tide's 12th win in a row over the Bulldogs. Tua led the Alabama offense as he connected on 14 of 18 for 256 yards and 2 touchdowns. Najee Harris led Alabama on the ground, gaining 88 yards on 17 carries with 3 rushing touchdowns. Harris added another touchdown on a 19-yard pass from Tua. Jerry Jeudy led all receivers with 7 catches for 114 yards.
Freshman linebacker Shane Lee had a game-high 10 tackles, including his first interception of his career. In all, the Alabama defense totaled 6 tackles for loss and a sack. The Crimson Tide's defense held Mississippi State to just 11 first downs, 82 passing yards, and just 270 yards of total offense.
Maggie, the talk of college football world since that game against Mississippi State has been about Tua. Unfortunately, Tua suffered a right hip dislocation. It was reduced there at the stadium in Starkville, and then Tua was flown to St. Vincent's Hospital in Birmingham by helicopter for further evaluation.
And according to the team orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Lyle Kane, the medical team consulted with multiple orthopedic experts across the country, and the decision was to send Tua to Houston for surgery. Tua underwent surgery this past Monday.
Dr. Kane said on Monday that Tua underwent successful surgery on his right hip. The procedure went as planned. Tua's prognosis is excellent, and we expect him to make a full recovery. Tua will return to Tuscaloosa this week to begin his rehab.
And despite his season being over and experienced severe trauma, Tua was Tua, and he was in good spirits. On Sunday, he received visits from his teammates. As you can see, he was smiling and having a good time with all of them. And here's what Coach Saban had to say about his phone call to cheer up Tua on Sunday.
Look, I've talked to Tua. I feel bad. I'm hurting. All right, but so I call him on Saturday night to cheer him up. He cheers me up. I called him last night because I've been sitting in that room for 10 hours yesterday watching film. I called him to cheer him up. He cheers me up. So this is a guy that has great spirit. He's very positive about just about everything he does and the effect that he has on other people. I think he's been a great ambassador for college football in terms of the class that he shows and the way he goes about what he does and how he affects other people. And I don't think there's any way that any of us can say we won't miss that spirit that he has. And, the first thing he says to me last night when I tell him good luck in your surgery tomorrow is he said, well, I just can't wait to get back and see the game on Saturday.
Tua was in such good spirits that he was singing and playing his ukulele. Former Alabama offensive lineman Josh Casher recorded this video during his visit on Sunday. He's not just an athlete, he's multi-talented. As you can see, he can definitely sing as well. It's great to see Tua in such good spirits. Now, there has been an outpouring of support around the sports world as well. NFL players sent their support. Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes said prayers up at Tua, man. Hope this is just a minor setback in a bright future.
And former teammates showed their love and support as well. New England Patriots running back Damien Harris tweeted at Tua, man is the ultimate warrior and competitor, praying for your use, Godspeed.
Another former Alabama player, Sean Alexander, shared his thoughts. He said, my confidence in life is not in my gifts, abilities, awards, or accomplishments. My confidence comes from my faith in Jesus. His plan is perfect. Every part of the plan is perfect. Love you, Tua, man. Walk through this like you were built to. Finish the game. A legend is being made.
And Tua even tweeted, thank you for all the prayers and well wishes. God always has a plan.
And Tua's family released a statement following his surgery in Houston. It read, we would like to thank all the Alabama family and everyone across the world for their prayers and outpouring of love and support for our son and our family. We felt the unceasing prayer, and words can't express how overwhelming and uplifting that has been for us. We have total faith in God's plan for Tua, and we know his plan is never wrong. God's grace, mercy, love, and faithfulness in our lives has never been more evident despite this setback. The care and support Tua and our family has received is nothing short of amazing, and we can't express our appreciation enough for Dr. Kane, Jeff Allen, Coach Saban, to his teammates, the Alabama Athletics Department, our pastors, and all the doctors and nurses that have done such an outstanding job of taking care of Tua. God bless, and roll Tide.
It is so great to see everybody wishing him and his family well and praying for them, so get well, Tua.
We hope everything continues to go well and hope to see you out there on the football field doing what you love to do and what you're so great at soon. And
don't go anywhere. We'll have more Tide TV this week coming up next.
Tide TV this week is brought to you by ATI, built by Bama, rebuilt by ATI Physical Therapy. Ford and the F-150, tough runs in our family. See your local Ford dealer today. AFS, a Bayless company, your foundation and waterproofing specialists, serving you since 2000.
A big win on the road for the Tide at Mississippi State, but a bittersweet win at that. Let's take a look back at the Tide's win over Mississippi State. It's brought to you by ATI.
Certainly looking forward to the Crimson Tide, a bounce-back opportunity today against a Mississippi State team that you know is going to be fired up.
The scene is set. The home team has not been here in just about a month.
We are underway in Starkville. Throws long across the middle, caught by Jerry Jeudy, all the way down to the 15-yard line.
Picking his way down to the goal line and in for the touchdown.
Stevens looks towards Hill, then throws intercepted. Intercepted by Alabama's Lee. Shane takes it and back inside the 20 to the 19-yard line.
By the true freshman, Shane Lee.
Stiff on the quarterback. Line snap to Tua, empty backfield. Looks wide open. Najee Harris, touchdown, Alabama.
And all going right early for Alabama.
Najee, hello, score another one as he goes up the middle.
And when Najee gets some steam like that one-on-one with anybody, he's usually going to win. That's a big answer from Alabama's offense.
Here's the left-hander, Tua Tagovailoa. Down the sideline, touchdown. Well, that was creative.
Man, Jalen Waddle right there with a special adjustment on the ball there. It was supposed to be a corner route. Saw that the defender was undercutting the route and was going to make a play on it, so he throws it to the other shoulder. Jalen Waddle just spins around, relocates the ball, and makes a great play.
Tagovailoa down the sideline. It's Devontae Smith.
Najee cuts right, cuts left, walks it in. Tua already had his hands in the air. Touchdown, Alabama.
Yes, sir.
And great defense by the Alabama Crimson Tide.
They're trying to attack them right between the tackles.
And I don't think he got there. Anthony Jennings and Christian Harris made sure of it. Anthony Jennings, the big hit on Tommy Stevens.
Another Bama defensive stop. Here comes Ben Davis.
Hit hard, rocketed right up the middle. Ben Davis sacked for a loss of 8.
And this one is in the books. Alabama wins it by a score of 38-7.
Got a lot of good players, and we believe in them. We have faith in them. We trust in them, and we're going to do everything we can to get them ready to play and put them in the best position they can to be successful.
Tide TV This Week is brought to you by ATI. Built by Bama. Rebuilt by ATI Physical Therapy. The University of Alabama, where legends are made.
Saturday will be the 5th meeting between Alabama and Western Carolina. The Crimson Tide have won all 4 against the Catamounts, including 3 under Coach Saban. The last meeting between the two schools came in 2014. In that game, the Crimson Tide rolled to a 48-14 win in Bryant-Denny. A member of the Southern Conference, Western Carolina enters this year's matchup in their final game of the season, 3-8, but winners of 2 out of their last 3. Western Carolina is last in the SoCon, averaging 19.5 points per game, while allowing over 36 points to their opponents. First team All-Southern Conference quarterback Tyree Adams leads the Catamounts attack. Adams has completed 65% of his passes and averaged 176 yards per game with 11 touchdowns and 5 interceptions in 9 games this season. Adams is also 3rd on the team in rushing, averaging over 45 yards per game.
These guys run option-type football. It's not really wishbone, but, kind of dive option-type football, and they really do a good job schematically, and our players have to play responsibility football on defense.
The strength of Western Carolina's defense has been their pass defense, which ranks 1st in the SoCon, allowing just 164 yards per game.
Big-time hit right at the point of attack, John Brannon.
A big part of that success has been John Brannon, as he leads the Catamounts and is 2nd in the SoCon with 3 interceptions on the year. For Alabama, how will this offense look going forward without its #1 quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa?
Well, I don't think the offense changes much at all. I mean, Mac played in the Arkansas game and did a nice job, and I think it was 18 for 22 or whatever, and he's smart, he understands the offense, he's made a lot of improvement throughout the course of the year.
Saturday will be the final home game for the Crimson Tide, as well as Senior Day.
Excited about what the senior group that we have has been able to accomplish here. I think they won, 50 games so far in their career, 4 years, and 64 games over a 5-year period is, pretty significant accomplishment, for those guys. So hope our fans, come out and recognize this group on Saturday and show their appreciation for, what they've done and how they've represented the university and the football program.
Along with it being Senior Day, Tua will be back at the game. So let's show our support for Tua and the seniors on Saturday in Bryant-Denny. Kickoff is scheduled for 11 o'clock. The game will be broadcast on ESPN. Stay with us. We'll have more Tide TV This Week coming up next.
We're going to work our tails off every day. We're going to get this thing rolling in the right direction.
Oh, baby, what a jumper!
But we're going to get better, so we're going to give max effort, continuous growth, and then we talk about selfless love.
Kyra Lewis, a huge three. Oh my goodness, what a play. Oh, mercy! Unbelievable.
Holy smokes. Showtime! Bama fans here at Coleman are on their feet.
Welcome back to Tide TV This Week, brought to you by Renaissance Bank. After a road trip to Rhode Island, the Alabama men's basketball team was back at home in Coleman Coliseum against Furman this past Monday night.
And after a back-and-forth first half, the Crimson Tide led by 3 at the break, 34-31, with the score tied at 50 with under 10 minutes to go in the game. The Crimson Tide began a 15-6 run that turned into a 9-point lead at 65-56 with 4 minutes to go. Alabama knocked down 11 straight free throws, going 15 of 18 from the charity stripe in the second half alone. A steal and a dunk by Kyra Lewis Jr. right there. With a minute and 32 left, pushed Alabama's lead to 12 as the Tide rolled to an 81-73 win over the Paladins.
Freshman Jaden Shackelford scored a season-high 25 points on 7 of 12 from the field. Kyra Lewis Jr. added 19 points and 7 rebounds for his 4th consecutive game in double-digit scoring. John Petty Jr. added a season-high 16, and Javian Davis had 10 to give the Crimson Tide 4 scores in double figures. The win evened the Tide's record at 2-2. The men return to the hardwood next Wednesday in the Bahamas against 4th-ranked North Carolina as they continue play in the Bad Boy Mowers battle for Atlantis.
And the Alabama women's basketball team was at home this past Sunday as the Tide took on Mercer after leading just 20-17 after the first period. The Crimson Tides used a big second period to put the game away. Alabama scored 41 points to just 9 by Mercer to secure a 61-26 halftime lead. The 41 points in a single quarter was the most ever by a Crimson Tide team. Alabama tied the school record for three-pointers made with 14 as they cruised to an easy 111-56 win over the Bears.
The 111 points were the most for an Alabama women's basketball team since 1994. The win was also Coach Christy Curry's 100th as head coach of the Crimson Tide. The Crimson Tide's bench played a big role in the win as the Tide's bench outscored Mercer 71 to just 18. The Crimson Tide had 4 finished in double figures, with Deshae Benjamin leading the way with a double-double with 16 points and 10 rebounds. Jasmine Walker, Hannah Barber, and Brittany Davis each added 12. Stay with us. We'll have our plays and Players of the Week coming up next.
Snap to two, empty backfield. Looks wide open. Najee Harris out of the backfield. Touchdown, Alabama. Tua throws left. Waddle believes the defender. He will carry it in for the touchdown. Smith and his 4 as Lewis shoots and cans it from long range.
Those were our BBVA top plays of the week. Now let's take a look at our players of the week, brought to you by Payless Drugs. And this week we go with 3 Crimson Tide players of the week. And how can you not go with quarterback Tua Tagovailoa? Tua led the Alabama offense to a 35-7 lead as Alabama defeated Mississippi State 38-7. Tua completed 14 of 18 passes for 256 yards and 2 touchdowns with no interceptions as he finished with a quarterback rating of 98.6.
And in the win over Mississippi State, running back Najee Harris became the first Alabama player to score 3 touchdowns in the first quarter of a single game. Harris also set an Alabama record with his 6th touchdown reception of the season. That is a new Alabama record for touchdown receptions by a running back in a single season, and Harris finished the day with 88 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, and 51 receiving yards with a touchdown reception.
Freshman Jaden Shackelford had his best game in a Crimson Tide uniform as he had a team-high 25 points in the 81-73 win over Furman. Shackelford connected on 7 of 12 from the field, including 3 of 8 beyond the arc. He also added 5 rebounds and 3 steals in the win. Now let's take a look at next week's schedule for the Crimson Tide. What's next is brought to you by Renaissance Bank.
Men's basketball will be in the Bahamas for Thanksgiving. The Tide begins play in the Bad Boy Mowers battle for Atlantis on Wednesday. Alabama will take on North Carolina at 1:30 on ESPN or ESPN2. And the men will then play again on Thanksgiving Day and also on Friday.
Volleyball will also be in action on Wednesday. The Tide hosts Georgia at 5 p.m. here in Tuscaloosa. On Friday, women's basketball will be in Las Vegas. The Tide will take on Northern Iowa in the South Point Thanksgiving Shootout at 10 p.m.
And on Saturday, Alabama will play Auburn twice. Volleyball will host the Auburn Tigers at noon here in Tuscaloosa, and then down on the Plains, football squares off against Auburn for the annual Iron Bowl. That game will kick off at 2:30 and will be broadcast on CBS.
And women's basketball wraps up a busy Thanksgiving week on Saturday night as the Tide will take on Southern California in Las Vegas. It will be another late tip-off at 10 p.m. Thanks again for joining us for another episode of Tide TV This Week.
Have a great week, everybody. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
This has been a presentation of Learfield IMG College.